It's officially September, which means it's fall season, which means a cozy fall makeup look. Alright, I'm going in with concealer instead of eyeshadow primer because I think they do the exact same thing. Blending it out with a damp beauty blender. Whenever I don't feel like getting up to run my beauty blender underwater, I will just spray both sides with some setting spray. Alright, we're gonna wait for this concealer to dry down a bit, but I want to tell you guys, you don't have to buy designated products for everything. This is just one example of how I use what I have for something that I want to do. So instead of going out and buying an eyeshadow primer, I just use concealer because I have concealer. I might as well just use what I have. Brushing the eyebrows so they're out the way. I'm going in with this bright orange all over my eyelid because this is a fall look. It's autumn, pumpkin coated, we need orange. What's an autumn look if there's no orange? But if you're just starting out eyeshadow, what you do on one side, you should immediately repeat on the other. In the end, it'll just be a lot easier to get the same look on both eyes if you just repeat it. If you struggle with your eyeshadow being too harsh, I would recommend starting off blending lower than where you want it. So I really wanted this shade up here, but I didn't want to start up here because then it'd be too harsh and it ended up being softer right up here, and I just was not going for that look. But because I started right here, basically in my crease and on my eyelid, I was able to then blend it up, which gives you that soft diffused look. I'm taking this burnt orange and going in this outer corner just to kind of see how it's looking. Whenever I'm doing eyeshadow looks, I do this a lot where I try and do just a little bit just to kind of see what it looks like on, and then I'll add more if I like it, and if not, I'll repeat it on the other side, but that'll be it. I'm going in with a rich chocolatey brown in this outer corner. When you're putting the shadow down, the highest you want this to go is pretty much just below the crease. So now we're just going to lightly blend that out. Now we're blending that darker brown all throughout my crease. And the brush I used for that bright orange, we're just going to kind of buff out any harshness. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. Now for the fun part, we're going to use concealer again. But this time we're going to do a half cut crease. Normal cut crease is when you go all over your eyelid, but a half cut crease is pretty much when you stop halfway over your eyelids. I take concealer on a flat brush, start at the inner corner. Yeah. The way I figured out where to start my cut crease is by starting in this inner corner, and because I have this kind of fold here, that's where I start, and where my eyelid starts to fold over itself is the peak. Using a flat brush is perfect for this because you can not only pat the concealer into your eyelid, but you also get a lot of precision in this area. But you pretty much just drag that concealer, and then you use more of this flat part to kind of blend this concealer out. A way to control how much concealer you have is by putting it on the back of your hand and then taking your flat brush and dipping into that little by little. It's always easier to add when it comes to makeup, but it's a lot harder to subtract from what you've already put on your face. The way I like to end my cut crease is I like the top little flick to be longer than where the rest of it ends. But for the rest of it, I just start sweeping towards my inner corner. For the first layer, I'm taking a brighter shade and just kind of setting this concealer. We're going in with the second layer to kind of brighten it all up. The reason I'm calling them layers is because I'm using just a little bit of eyeshadow to sort of get me some color, get me something on there. Because when it comes to being a black woman doing makeup, sometimes colors in pan do not look right on the eyes. So going in with just a little bit allows me to work with what I'm using. Alright, so this is the foundation that we're working with for the eyes. I'm taking this first shade and we're going to focus it pretty much up till here, and then we're gonna go a little bit up. But we're gonna pretty much keep it to the lash line, but we're not gonna go all the way. It's not gonna be a winged liner moment. Not yet. For this inner corner, for the inner corner, I'm flattening it a bit, and then I'm swiping. This warmer one, we're focusing it where the outer corner color meets the crease. Yeah, the cut crease. Whatever. And to make this look really cemented as a warm toned look, I'm going to go in with an orange in the center, darker on the outer, and bright on the inner. Alright, now it's time for eyeliner. Okay, we're doing it really simple for eyeliner. I used black just because I think it makes my eyes really pop, and then I ended up tightlining my waterline with black also. Okay, so now we're getting into the base. I like to start off with foundation, so we're using the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless Foundation. I use a brush and I scoop it out and then I just apply it straight to my face. Sometimes I do it to the back of my hand or like a piece of like glass that I have, and I'll warm it up, but it just depends how I'm feeling. If you're just starting out with makeup, I would recommend that you don't do this method. Only because it's easier to kind of understand how much foundation covers what and what kind of coverage you like when you're building it up slowly instead of just having to use everything that's on your face. We are putting foundation on the forehead because I think it looks weird if you don't. I just feel like if you're not going to put it on your forehead, you might as well just not put it on. Especially because foundation can dry in a different color, so it's like, yeah, when you first apply it, it looks like it blends together and it works, but by the time it dries down and you've worn it a little bit throughout the day, you know. Next, I like to go in with a cream bronzer or contour. There is definitely a difference, but I don't really care. I feel like when it comes to like your blushes or like your concealers and stuff being different undertones, unless a brand marks them correctly, there's not much you can really do other than like trial and error. And even then, it's like if I already have the product, I might as well just use it. But that's kind of like an example of the idea of there being like guidelines for makeup, but not really like rules for makeup. Unless you're like a makeup artist and there's like sanitization, like legal things that you have to do. Yeah. Comment down below if you're a makeup artist. I don't know. I actually don't know any makeup artists like in my real life. I really want to do a red blush, so I'm gonna try out this Game Beauty. Whoa, why was that a struggle for me saying that? This is my first time using this, so hopefully I didn't use too much. I think I can get away with this. When you're just getting into makeup, you have to be so patient because like there's like techniques I've like just learned. But I would say my biggest piece of advice is doing makeup that suits your facial features. Just do you. Just do you, be you. You're good. You're good. For example, there was a trend where people were using like a white or a tan to do like their waterline. I tried that and I looked insane. The minute I do black, I mean, can't tell me nothing for real. But also it takes time to learn how to do you, so also just try stuff. Who cares? Now we're gonna do nose contour, which isn't like my least favorite part, but it's nowhere close to my favorite part of doing makeup. I'm gonna do a voiceover because I'm gonna focus because I feel like my nose contour has been coming out like horrible recently. Alright, for under eye concealer, this is just something I've been doing recently where it's like kind of like an ombre of concealer just because respectfully I have so many. So if I were to just be using one, I'd probably go somewhere maybe between these two with a hint of this one in the inner corner. I'm using this beauty blender and we're just going to go straight up. The reason I like this beauty blender so much, it's like a new addition, is because of just how like thin and like direct that this line is. Like it's just so accurate, I think. Good for when you do winged liner because you can really just like go right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this with the other eye and then we'll blend it all out. It's to just like accentuate your features. Cause why not? Like you gotta deal with that for the rest of your life unless you get like surgery, but this concealer out sort of like a triangle here and then of course that line that went up. And if you find that like your makeup is getting kind of dry and hard to work with, you can just spray some setting spray far away from your face, by the way. Going in with the blush on the back of my hand and then taking this, we're just gonna go in for just a little bit more. And I like to blend it up to where that concealer was because although it's like still like bringing my face up, it makes it a bit more like face and like seamless, I guess, and not as harsh. But the reason I like to do concealer last is because it really just like cements that this inner corner is going to be the brightest part of my face. Now for the part that can make or break your entire look, powder. I really like the Morphe powder puff because it's so like this. I'm not sponsored by Morphe, by the way. I've gotten stuff from them, which is like a literal dream because they're like the first brand I purchased with like my own money, but their stuff is just so good that it's like it's hard to just not use their products in like all of my videos. So we're just tapping off excess on the back of the hand. This is the best way to avoid any flashback Mary kind of situations. But again, it's easier to build something up than it is to take something away, and that goes for powder bad. So we're gonna start right under the eye, just pressing it into the skin. We're pretty much following where I had placed the initial concealer, going below the nose, above the lip. And we're even going between the eyebrows. The second powder we're using is more skin toned. Now the reason I'm using two different face powders is because this just kind of gives me that brighter under eye, but this just kind of like makes everything blend together and look more like my skin tone and me. But I'm going in with a super fluffy brush. And we're just gonna go all over the face. I mean, even where you put that first powder. Yeah, and this is what the base is looking like now that we have that initial powder product down. Going in with a highlighter here and here. And with like little cream products like this, it's not too bad to go over your powder products. Like it doesn't like disrupt your base too much. You just got to be a little bit careful and take your time. And I think that's the biggest thing with makeup is just like taking your time and building stuff up slowly but surely. You can honestly also use your fingers. I personally just like using a brush because I feel like I can be a bit more precise and blend it out a bit better. If you're still here, comment your favorite shade of blush because I'm in love with this one. We're going in with this orange blush to kind of set the color down. And we definitely need some bottom of the nose, top of the nose. And the best part of just this nose moment is doing freckles because I think it really just pulls the look together, especially because of like just the vibe of this one. I feel like freckles are really gonna pull this together. Now I'm going in with a little bit of powder bronzer just around the perimeters to just make sure it's still like deep and hasn't been like taken over by the blush. One thing about me, I hate doing my eyebrows. I think part of the reason I don't like doing my brows is because I just don't think I'm good at them. So I would go like anywhere else on the internet for like how to do your brows because I low-key still do mine like I did in like 2018. I had a lip plumper on. I don't really know where it went. We're using the Morphe Signature Lip Pencil in Trendsetter to line my lips. Now I'm using the new lip filter in the shade Honey. This is cute. This is cute. Like I probably should have moved my lash like I can't even do it, but like over a bit. Ooh, I guess I can because it lifted. Alright guys, this is the finished look. I know my energy is suddenly back because I just looked in the mirror. She's cute. I don't know, I just look good. I feel good and what else could I ask for? I hope this video was helpful. I will try and do like my best with like explaining things on the screen that like maybe I didn't like verbally say. But if you have any questions like at all, like please let me know in the comments and I will get right back to you like as soon as I can. Just a reminder, I'm not like a pro makeup artist. I've just been doing makeup since I was in high school and I just graduated college, so I've been at it for a while. But yeah, I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked the final outcome, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out. Bye.